thank you for my screen. And I think I skipped to Devoxxes because of workload, and almost this as well, because last night I had to work still in Germany, not here. And I'm happy to be back. And last time what I did, I probably hacked something on stage with Java 6 or Java 7. And now I would like to show you what I actually accidentally do. And I found it per accident. And I don't think it was meant always that way with MicroProfile, but let's see what happens. So now, I still enjoy Java. This is the strange thing. People ask me, what about Kotlin? It's like, yeah, okay, but my time is too short to learn every programming language on earth. I'm really satisfied with Java and JavaScript, and I only have so much time. So I enjoy working, or not to calling working, hacking, programming, or whatever you call it. Very cool stuff. Airhacks FM is my podcast, and the last session was special one. Scott McNeely from Sun Microsystem said yes, and we recorded it. This is now public. So I'm asking some interesting question and got even more interesting answers. So if you are interested, do it. Listen to it. From my perspective, it was fun. Beginnings of Java, JavaSoft, and all the stuff. Airhacks TV could be interesting. I answer questions live, like before the show. And I gather the questions 1 month and then answer them. I hope one point of time it will stop, but this is the 57th edition. So I'm doing this for 5 years right now, and I get more and more questions. The last time, 25. So, and my credo is learn once, never migrate. So there is no reason to force clients to migrate from one shiny framework to another. And clients like that, and therefore I think that many clients are interested in the technology because it's a little bit boring, but at least stable, okay? And good enough. This is good enough. We can always find something better and micro-optimize thing, but it should be simple and good enough. And if it's simple and good enough, then we'll using, and everyone is, or most of the people are happy. Developers not that happy, of course, because it's boring, and no one would like to focus on business logic. Everyone would like to focus on shiny new technology. Agreed? It is like it is. So, some workshops coming soon, but now start with the content. And I found this yesterday on Twitter. So I don't know who the guy exactly is. It looks friendly. And I look at the slide. It was yesterday here at Devoxx. And it says Java EE is a huge project. It was like the tagline, huge project, 61K files they have to maintain, and 34,000 files for CTS. This is the TCK. If you think about it, it's nothing, right? So what I did on train wouldn't work. At home, had a little bit time and a fast internet connection. So I actually created here Jakarta EE project, and there is node modules, so something like JavaScript. And I just count the number of files. 30,000. And this is an empty Angular 7 project, or 619. And so there's not even a button. So if you go here, this is completely empty Angular JSON. This is from yesterday. It took me a while. Yeah, this is just the simple configuration. But and took me a while because I forgot to update Yarn. And if you forget it to update for 3 months or something, I got exceptions like cannot install silent exception or something. Silent, I remember silent, and researches for 20 minutes, and then I found the answer. I have to update Yarn. And then 30,000 files were downloaded. The first time what happened, no kidding, I wanted to keep that, my terminal frozen. So not only frozen, I couldn't kill it. So you are using Angular, right? So what I then search during the flight, this is not really comparable, but what I found is I have an old Whitefly project from GitHub, and this is not everything. It cannot be. We had some issues, and I just compared all the files here, and this is not right. There should be more. But a very old Tommy project in SVN, and this is really old, so it doesn't matter, 2013, source code from the application server. And they have 50,000 files. So what it means is one Angular installation is twice larger than the entire source code of the Tommy. Okay, and then the largest server I found is the very old Glassfish. And this is really old. If you go here, it's like 2013. So I think we had some issues in production, so I look at the source code. But they have like, you see, it's a little bit more, 55,000 Java files. It's the entire source code of the old Glassfish. I forgot which version it was, but it's the oldest one. Cool, right? So what is lightweight and what is heavyweight? This is the question. Of course, you never will have to download all the files locally. Not do you think that before my show you will have to download the source code from application server. By the way, it would be quicker than downloading Angular. So this is what if you really have to. So now, questions about that? No, this is the set situation. So what I would like to show you right now, no dependencies, no bus problems. So what it means, bus problems? Well, what I see in enterprise projects, some developers or projects are depending on funky libraries, often developed by a single developer. And this is the bus factor, yeah? If the developer gets hit by bus, what are you doing in the project? Will you maintain the library for yourself or whatever? So no dependency, no problems. Very important for enterprise, absolutely unimportant for fun projects. So boring again. And no migration, also interesting. Actually, it's really simple to migrate the old Java stuff because it was slow. It didn't happen a lot. It was sufficient. You can add more things, but there's actually no migration. The only hard stuff is, cross-migration between, for instance, Hibernate and Eclipse Link, of course, because there are differences. But from the bytecode perspective or API perspective, there is no lot to do. Everyone, you can ask me questions at any time or stop me and say, it does not matter what you say because we have different experience. Then we can talk about that. So we have enough time. 43 minutes, I see here. So, and this was the last slide. So thank you for watching. And now, this is the first magic step, setup, not WebStandards. Let's start with set up a Java 8 project and call it, dev is good. So, and you ask me what happens here and which set up Java 8 project and just would like to use the cat. And this is just the Maven archetype, which is already in Sonatype Central. And what it basically says, the group ID is com airhacks. There has to be a public available domain, otherwise it wouldn't be open source. Archetype fact ID is Java 8 Essentials archetype. And why you need it? Because what it does, it creates the simplest possible Java 8 application, which means about 25 lines of POM. No dependencies, and whatever I found on the internet was more complex than this. Questions? GitHub URL, and for Sonatype, there's the URL. You will need the coordinates, com airhacks, and this one. But there is no. You don't need the URL. But the source code from the archetype is on GitHub as well. This is the only attendee who works here, right? He asked me before the show how to set up and does everything with me. So shame on you all others and look at him. So now dev. So what happened behind the scenes is, this is the full POM. It will never grow. In fact, what I do, I look in my code reviews. First, what I do, the first look is at the POM. If it already looks complicated, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with Java. So it's like architects would like to play with new stuff, but forgot about business logic usually. And what also happened is I have very simple resource because we're lazy to code it from scratch over and over again. And I would like just to run it on my local machine. And the last time, on the last session, open session, someone asked me how I work with the cloud, and this is exactly what I do. I have a couple of servers installed, depends on project, and I have a local server. I run unit tests, integration tests, everything locally, and then push it. Oh, this is wrong. And then push it to Bitbucket, GitHub, or whatever. And this triggers usually an CI pipeline. Dev resources. Ping does not work. It's a pity. Should. So if it doesn't work, no problem. I will start with deploy to Docker, but it is nice to show you outside Docker again. So, and does it work here at all? I know. No, I don't know. This ping resource, and we have the beans XML. This looks good. This also looks good. And this doesn't look good. So, last time, if not, I will proceed with Docker or implement some stuff. Matrix. It was dev. Does it work at all? Host 8080. This is running. Dev resources and ping should be, and this is not running, which makes me sad. But it makes me sad at this point of time, which is not that bad. What I should see, enjoy Java 8. What I actually wanted to do, and I will do it right now to save time, in a usual application, I would actually get here an entity with, let's say, the developer. And the developer is going to be exposed with some attributes, message, and let's say developers have age, just to have something different, and both in constructor. And let's say what I also would have is a Java class and call the Java class developer. Oh, what? No, I don't like to call it a repository. Let's say developer shop. So usually you will get in shortest amount of time an amazing amount of repositories, DAOs, and other synthetic objects, I would say. And this ping resource can get injected. Inject the developer shop ds, and the developer shop can return, let's say, our developer. Developer import and the one, and this is going to be Duke, just to make something happen. So, and this is the Duke, still alive, and let's say probably something like this. Okay, so we have now Duke, age is 42, and this could be transactional and a little bit faster or not, so this is optional, and I can just use this here. So this is nothing really new, D1. And now, because I would just take a look which server I used, properties, run, no server. So this was actually a good test, whether you can deploy. This was serverless already. I tried to deploy to no server. Actually, I didn't wanted to show you this at all. Before the show, he asked me what you have to install, and actually you don't have to install that. Resources, ping, or pings, ping. This can be ping or pings, ping. Okay, but what really matters is this. So to run it in Docker, I will just use Pyra 5 because this is what I'm still using in project right now. And now I can go to devs and say Maven, just go to be sure, Maven clean install and docker build -t dev dot. Should work. Hopefully I didn't forget to. So, and this was the complete build on Docker. This is no more the local Pyra, it's the same Pyra from Docker. And I could actually run it with detach mode -p, and for sure just try to different port, because I have dev and call it from dev. So this is dev. port is already allocated. Docker remove test. So again, docker remove -f dev, and this is real world. And now finally, where is the port? Someone hacked me here. 8484 is not allocated. I have no idea what 8282 can be. And probably some old service running on my machine. So, and let's try the same with 8282.
8484.
Something else is running here, which is actually cool. I know what it is. This is 8484 and 8282. What I did in last show, someone asked me to add bulkhead pattern, and on the fly I add a new HTTP endpoint for Matrix, which runs on 82N2. So I have 2 ports right now, which I care about. So we have here the Java 8 com airhex ping developer, which is returned here, and it runs on both ports because the 8282 now it is available on both ports for unknown reasons. So this was the simplest possible application. And now what I would like to do is to add some more stuff. And this more stuff could be, for instance, what about Matrix? So what I get here, so if I go to 8484, so this is the Pyara, and I go here and go to Matrix. I have the Prometheus matrix, which are already exposed per default from the application server. And what I can do, I can just output the matrix from here as well, which is and just say I want like to have the accept application JSON, which is interesting if you don't have Prometheus and would like to include the metrics for to a web app. So, but these metrics are not really interesting because, or they are interesting, but it's very generic metrics. What you usually would like to do is, for instance, to know how many developers were created today. Not because we have a business process, create a developer with age of 18. So we are cloning developers, and let's. To save time, what you would usually do is you would create here a matrix exposer or a matrix registry, and now call it developer count, developer counter, and this can be application scoped, application scoped, exactly, and long adder. And this is adder equals new long adder. And it can add pretty well. And it's developers created. And this is going to be a gauge. And this doesn't work anymore. What I would like to do is to show you the MicroProfile stuff. And this was the question before the show. What is the MicroProfile? And I ignored the MicroProfile for 1 or 2 years because for MicroProfile back then, they tried to sell it with micro environments and whatever. And my environments were always more or less micro. There was fast start times and the server were small enough. And what I completely missed is the following. What you can actually do, you can go here and say, I would like to have MicroProfile on top of the stock application servers. And OpenLiberty supports this perfectly well. Pyara supports this already. Whitefly is getting there, the stock Whitefly. And that Thorntail is also able to do this. And Tommy was released with Java 8 and WebProfile and partial MicroProfile release. So, and important, this is provided. So provided means this is not like the whole stuff is packaged. This is just part. It is part of the application server. So all the vendors right now support both Java 8 and MicroProfile, which makes it particularly interesting. So right now, I can just go here and say, nice, go here and do the gauge. Oh, nothing works today. Refresh, save, sometimes helps.
In your home file, there is a character at the beginning.
Ah, thank you. And you see one character more, and Java already complains it's too heavyweight. So so we have. Thank you. So now this, I would check what's going on now. Perfect. So try to save characters in POM and call it counter and return this adder in value. It could be atomic integer as well. And here I create a business method. And by the way, it could be on new event and new CDI events will work equally well. I just do the old-fashioned direct call increment. And this adder increment. So adder done. So what I can do here, I can inject the adder. And where is my def counter? And counter. And say on every call, I'm just counting that. By the way, if this would be that simple, you could have counted here as well. So the counted would count the method calls. But what the example with the gauge is that something internally you have part of you are counting orders which are not directly corresponding to the method calls, which is usual for business metrics. Okay, so this trivial case could be solved with counted. Okay, so we have that. And what I would also like to improve here in the ping resource, I would like to return here the developer, not the string. So just do this developer directly. So and now I will have to rebuild everything. Looks good. So this is full build. Now I'm just curious with classes, right? Find. So 27 files. This is Java files plus classes plus the whole target directory. So a little bit leaner then. And we have 5 kilobyte of war. And this 5 kilobyte of war is very important for me and to me and my projects. Why this? Because of Docker. Dev. Let's see whether the right server was used. Yeah. 6 months, so looks about right. As you can see, I installed the Payara 6 months ago, and 20 months was Java update, whatever Java is used here, and 32 seconds ago there was updated with 5 kilobyte war. And because we are using clouds, Docker-like environments, and cloud native, it is very important that the last layer is small, because the smaller the layer, the faster deployment. If I will build here Überjar, regardless how small it is significantly larger than my war, and therefore it is quick. Okay, now kill that and run it again. Hopefully. I've remembered to destroy the port afterwards, 82 out here, 82. So now, what should happen? I actually forgot, let's see. Dev, resources ping. So we have now JSON. So the object was serialized to a JSON with JSONB, which is the newest spec from Java 8. And this is very relevant. I have recently some discussions with architects about DTOs. And the funny story is the developer is a true DTO, even with public fields. Whatever is public is serialized, and what is private is not going to be serialized. If you're not happy with it, you can create visibility, your own visibility policy, but this is the default behavior. But the cool stuff is, with this DTO, this DTO can be created by Entity Manager with a query. You can say select name query and say select new developer from entity, and you get them. So you don't need any mappers, any slices, any getters and setters. So, and this is very old, actually. It was supported in, I think, JPA from the beginning. So in the JPA query, you can say select new fully com airhex ping entity dot developer in call the constructor. And it is only important that the result matches the constructor arguments. Got it, the idea? I would like to skip it because it's actually old stuff. So now we have the developer, and what we should also get is matrix, and we get also the application scope matrix, and we have the created counter 1, which is nice. And we can also get for free the performance metrics. So we can say here metered, and we get later next deployment the metrics. So this is Prometheus format. It is available right away. Okay, what we also get for free, this is well integrated. If we go here and say now Open API, we get the Open API endpoint. This is the Swagger schema, not schema. How to call it? Swagger description. So you don't need any annotations. You can use their API annotations. This is their Open API part. And so the nice story is we are removing in my projects, before MicroProfile, my clients had to use the Swagger annotations. And in some cases, there were more annotations than source code, actually. So the business logic. And you get it for free, and you can customize that with annotations which are shipping with the application server. So this is the idea. Any questions? So as you can already see, it is actually a nice behavior on top of already existing application servers. So I think, any questions? No, probably the last one, what I would like to show you, because it's useful and it will kill some libraries as well. So what I could do here, I can say this produces an error. Throw new illegal state exception. And this is hit by the bus. So now we have the problem with the libraries. So to save time, what you can do right now, I can say here, please retry. Retry twice, and then fall back to a method is like developer, how to call it, Ironman. So no problem with the bus. Fallback method and Ironman. So, and then return new developer. Now I think the Ironman is even older than Java, right? I think Ironman, he's for sure, I would say 60, right? Something like this. Okay, now we have this, and because I would like to save time for the next, let's see how well it goes, I would like to add the course filter. And where is it? Here. So this is the first external dependency, but don't worry, this is a Javaistic dependency, and this means, let's build that. And this means it should be really small. Hopefully I didn't delete the Maven repository. I did. Course. Let's see. Okay, if not, no problem, no course. No course, no problem. This would be one interceptor class, has nothing to do with Java, something I created, but I cleaned my repository. So we have the Ironman here. Hopefully it works. So now I had an error here. So let's see. Retry to developer, then what's he saying? Metered. You see an error. Everything should be fine. So there are no. Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely. And this has to have. This is the right retry. So Now we have it. Okay, so I think we can build it again. Wrong directory. So this is built again, and we could inspect. So only one layer changed. It's called immutable infrastructure, a nice name. So we kill the container and we run the container again. So, and what we should see, unfortunately, we see the Ironman. What I forgot to do is to do something like this, and you will see that this dot happens 2 times. So what the container does, it retries the method twice, and then if it fails twice, it calls that. If we had more time, what I would do, I will also show you, for instance, the circuit breaker, which is built in. And the most important pattern, or somehow for stability, is bulkheads. Because with that, what this would mean is that there will be never more than 2 threads, let's say. Depends on the configuration, of course. So no more than 2 threads will access the method. And if there is more load than this, our fallback is going to be called, which is really interesting. We had some payment gateways or something like this. So this is a nice solution to have. So I would say before that, I built this by myself with Java 8. It was not a big deal, but now I can throw away my own code and replace it with MicroProfile, which is always a big deal. Okay. Questions about that? No. Then, yeah, this does not matter. Doesn't matter. Did I build it already? Yes. So this looks good. Dev, resources, and ping. Okay. I don't know. No, in the era of clouds, we still have to care about ports. So Ironman. So no question, it was just redirect to Ironman. Now we can go through all the patterns and they would just work. But the nice story is no dependency, and my war is still about 6K. And so yesterday we had a session with kind of a startup, and we talk about how to build such applications. And the cool story is, if you build it 50 times a day, you only have to upload 50 times 6 kilobyte. We never achieved that in production, but all our microservices are usually smaller than 1 meg. Okay, any questions? No questions, then switch to web, I would say. So we have the backend, and then we have the front end, and I will try to call from the front end the backend. So the other stuff I'm doing is, for no reasons, some of my clients don't like Angular or similar frameworks anymore. I could imagine why, but yeah. By the way, what happened to me, I had several Angular versions installed on my machine, and the problem was the backup didn't work anymore because of the 30,000 files. And by the way, if you just, this is actually nice, try that. So if I go to temp and it just delete it, how long it takes to delete an empty web project, right? So how you should evaluate technology, try to delete it. If it takes too long, it's probably something over complex, right? So questions? No questions? Then let's start, or if you have any, just go ahead. So, and let's set up WebStandards project. And the question is what I'm doing here. This is even simpler than before. And let's call it DevUI. And this is a shell script I do a lot, but really nothing happens behind the scenes. So what it just does is it creates 3 files. One is empty HTML. One is CSS, which is empty as well. And then finally, we have Hello Web Standards. So what Web Standards are, this is for me as a Java developer, similar to Java or Java EE, it's just a browser. And the cool story is they are already surprisingly good. So what I would like to do is, first I would like to see whether it works, because today Hello is working. So this magic was the browser sync. This is one tool called browser sync, is one binary, and it watches my folder, and if something changes, pushes to the browser. And this is actually one-liner, so I can show you like this, which browser sync, this is an, which base sync. So this is the configuration, this is my alias, which I use a lot. It means watch source folder, and or start a server in the source folder, watch the source folder, push the changes to Google Chrome, and please don't send me any notifications. So this is the tool I really use. And this tool is integrated in Angular CLI and all the other CLIs as well. Usually this is what refreshes the browser. The cool story is I don't need a build. So some of my clients were really upset. So where's your NPM build? Like, we don't need it. They couldn't believe it, that this is so quick. So you can even astonish your clients more with that than with Java EE MicroProfile. So this is already amazing, but this is even better. So now, what you can do, now let's say we have our class, and the class is dev and the ox, or Germany. Do it German, Devoxx. This is nicer. Extends HTML element. And now we have custom elements define, and now I have to give a name. The only challenge here, I will have to use a dash, otherwise it won't work. So we need a dev and an ox, which is perfect in our case. So what I'm building is a web component, and here we have to pass the class Devoxx. So now what I can also do, I can say here, this is a constructor. No, you don't even need that. Because of time, I would like to load a file. And I wanted to load the developer from the server, but because of my course thing didn't work and we had no time, so I would just load it from this web server. But you can imagine Java EE would be capable to serve one JSON file. We already did it, right, with the URI. I won't even try it because the course filter is not set up, so I get an error in browser. So course is absolutely necessary for security reasons to call it, okay? So I will create another file, and this was developer.json. And the developer JSON is just JSON, and it has, what was it, name, right? And this was Ironman. Yeah, you are right, Ironman, but call it name, also good. Thank you. Ironman, and we had age, which does not matter now, age, and the age was, let's do something else, 65, and this is Ironman Web Edition, the webman. We have the webman. So, and this is a little bit then something like this. So we have now the webman, and I would like really load to webman. So usually what you will do, you will load, a couple of reactive frameworks to initiate an HTTP request, which and build it several times with, of course, not forget to have a transpiler because we have to address the older browsers. And this reminds me, I don't know whether you are aware of Xdoclet. You know Xdoclet? This was like the old generator in J2E. If I look at the modern web development, it reminds me the old days what we did with Xdoclet. So we generated XML, lots of stuff to see hello world on the screen. Now, back to here, I would like to call or to read my developer. How to do that? So there is something like post construct. It's called connected callback. And this connected callback is called whenever the component is part of the DOM. It is attached to the DOM. And what I would like to do is I would like to load the developer here. And the cool story is we could even do something like async, which in Java EE would be asynchronous. And then I can just call, of course it's not reactive, but almost, I would say. So someone asked me why he needs reactive framework to call a JSON endpoint. It's like, I have no idea why you need it. You can just call it with fetch. Fetch is part of the WebStandards, is available in all browsers. And what I get back is the request. And then I do it again, I wait. And this is the request, create a JSON. This is the JSON deserialization. And then this is our, and I had a name, so let's do the structuring right away. And now I have a name. So what it means is from the message or name, I should see webman here. And because I'm already HTML element, I can create a small template and say, look, no, backticks. This is multi-line backticks. I cannot write today, it's a pity, because in a session it would be nice if everything worked. So let's say H2, and now the template which is that. And this is this name, no, this, just name, and close that. So almost works. And now I have to integrate that. So, and this was Devoxx. And it doesn't work, of course. Why not? You know why, right? Even in the modern web world, you will have to call the methods, right? So this is beautiful decoupling, and modularize no coupling. Everyone will be happy, but it does not work. So I will have to call load developer. So, and go here, elements, and yeah, webman. You see that? Webman. So if I changed in the JSON and say standard webman, and it's boring, of course, because there is no reactivity, no build process, nothing. It's as a Linux Java backend. So now let's say, yeah, but you cannot write everything here to in one class, right? It's like, of course not. In Java we have imports, and in JavaScript imports are boring. There's another term, modules. So let's create a module, and I would like to call it let's say let's call it greeter. So, and what I can do, I say export default class, not as class, greeter, and here a method greet, and return big thanks. So now I have it here. What I will have to do as well is to import this, of course. Now import greeter from, and it actually, I forgot it, auto imports it already, greeter.js. And now I can say here, let's say here, p, what also works well, we have constructors in JavaScript. And we can say this greeter equals new. The point is actually is very similar to Java. It's actually too similar. If you do it too long it's really hard to do Java again because they're too similar. So greeter, and here you can say this greeter greet and p. And this will break because this is what I always remember. You will have to say I support type module, and modules are not supported in all browsers, but what is supported in all browsers is no module. So you can have a fallback for browsers which not support this ES6. So you can create a large file for the old browsers, and who supports this will support that. And what is mask calls? Okay, this is actually a good hint. Super. And we have big thanks from another class. So it is, I would say, almost Java without any frameworks. So now let's say, but it looks not very well. So I would say it is perfect, but yeah. What you could do, I can say, okay, then I would like to have like a header, and let's say article and nav, and nav and a footer, let's say, and the header is up, the article is content, the nav is links, and the footer is copyright Devoxx. So we have the something semantic here. It still looks not very nice, and the Devoxx can be in the content, let's say. So let's do this here. And this is my own tag. And by the way, I can also pass data. Let's say here prefix equals hey. So I could use here in my component and say here something like, and this is ES 2015. So this is actually old stuff what I'm showing you right now. This get attribute. And what was it? Prefix, right? Prefix. Hey, yeah, almost. Hey. Yeah, hey, standard webman boring. So this is almost like DSL, domain-specific language, right? Hey, standard webman boring up. So now we have we have enough time, 5 minutes for layout. If not, ask me just questions. So and what I would like to do is I would like to show you something like grid back layout in Swing. We have also in web, it's called grid layout. So the back get lost, but it's somehow similar. We have display grid. And what I will have to do is I will have to, let's say what we had, header, I will just assign different colors. And because pink is very good. No, pink is something. Oh, this was another web component. Now it's beautiful, you see. So I didn't want it to be pink. This was the problem. So footer, background, purple, of course. Then article was background. What else? Silver is silver. And then article, footer, header. What do we have? A nav. Then I'm really curious. Background. Do we have gold? Silver and gold. Gold. Oh, golden rod. Is it Rod Johnson? Golden rod? Could be. So we have now a beautiful page, right? And now I can say the height should be 100 of the viewport height. Viewport height. And it is. And I don't like this. So what I would like to do is to have a body without a margin for unknown reasons. You have to do this, but you did it once and then never again. So margin is gone. So and now, still 3 minutes. So I can say this grid. Oh, by the way, so this is the standard what you get. Of course, you can say grid template columns are 1 fraction unit and 2 fraction units. So you should have 2 columns. What? Okay. And then I can say grid template rows are 2 FR and let's say 1 FR. And now we have the grid, but who cares about grids, right? So let's keep this. The real cool stuff is grid area. And this is well supported in our browsers, actually. What this kills is various grid frameworks. You don't need it anymore. You can just replace them with a simple CSS grid. Grid area header, I will call it the same. Header. This is grid area footer. And this is grid area article. And grid area nav. And now I can say here grid template areas and say actually what I really would like to have is the header, and header comes first. Then we have nav and what was it? Article. Then we have footer and footer. And now we have that. So now decide if this should be spread the whole left side. So I can say this can be, for instance, nav goes to here, you see, or goes all the way through. So I have a nice semantic grid. And I can also say now this we have grid template rows. It should be more like 1 fraction unit, 4 fraction unit in 1. So it's more like this. And the cool story is now, there's still 1 minute for progressive web apps. So I can say media, screen, and mean width. And let's say 30 EM does this. And just for laziness, I will copy it again. And the other one is max width. So I will max width. And in the max width, let's now do max means this is smaller. So I would like to have this like article, and header. So now, if I switch, header, article, nav, on footer, it got lost, also important. Footer comes before nav, but it's okay. So we have now this, and the cool story is, so if we switch here to the elements, and here you see this is the breakpoint. So if I make it smaller, it changes and automatically to the resolution. And now do the test. In the backend, how many files we had? 20. Now go here, dev UI, and say, what was it? Find 5. Of course, it's not compatible with modern framework. There is no reactive programming, but in my enterprise project, it's good enough. And the cool story is all Java developers are just delighted, but it's really very easy. And the cool story is extremely well documented is MDN. And MDN doesn't stand anymore for Mozilla Developer Network, rather than this is like an abstract name for the canonical resource of WebStandards. Okay, now let's say what you would like to do is you will have to build that. So what I can suggest you, just use rollup. And rollup it will concatenate all the files. And I actually forgot the command line because it doesn't. Oh, this could be even compatible. Let's see dist. So just go up and steal it again. So, and now what happened, a dist was created and an app, and it just concatenated 2 components to prevent the module loading. And this is just plain rollup without any additional configuration. What you can do, you can configure Babel plugin and transpile to all the browsers. But in my project, the cool story is all major, larger companies, they support Chrome. And then you don't need anything. So you can just go with that, what I'll show you. If you have to support all the browsers, for instance, then you can, with the rollup, you can roll up as far as much you like. You can provide, the old JavaScript transpiled. And if you're lazy, take a look at Parcel.js. So this is what I'm doing in projects. So we have very pragmatic backends with MicroProfile in Java 8, and in frontends we use WebStandards as well, and you are extremely productive. We have absolute no dependency except business dependencies like Apache POE or here 3DS for charts or Moment.js still, but we get something like new date in JavaScript. And yeah, any questions? Yes?
Does your backend work on Java 11?
No, this was Java 8. But I will use Java 11 or 12 soon because I'm really interested in these speedups. Yeah. Okay, so if you need stickers here or have some stickers left in Payara booth, you can also have them, and or approach me after the show. Time is up. So thank you and enjoy Devoxx with the X, right?